Hello everyone and welcome to the Retro Baker. I'm Laura Sawyer Messing, your Retro Baker, and I am so excited to share today's recipe. We're making holly leaf cookies today. This is a retro recipe that was probably developed in the 1940s or 50s, and my mother-in-law has been making these cookies since the mid to late 60s. So it's been around for a long time. And in the past 15 years, a lot of food bloggers have kind of taken a shine to this recipe, rediscovered it, and have started making it. But I find in a lot of blogs or food websites that their proportions are a little bit off. So I'm going to show you the method that we use. I say we because my husband has tinkered with the recipe so that it's pretty foolproof and pretty easy to make at home. It's been around for a long time, and this Farm Journal candy cookbook was published in 1970. And as you can see, this was featured in the 1970 Farm Journal Candy Cookbook. So it's just been around for a while. It's our most requested cookie recipe at holiday time. And adding this to your cookie plate is really going to give a beautiful pop of green. So we want it to have that lovely glossy look to the leaf so it looks like holly. It's a super simple recipe. We don't even bake it. We're going to make it on the stovetop. It's a cereal cookie much like a Rice Krispie treat. For these cookies, we're going to use 5 level cups of cornflakes. And just a note on cornflakes, you can use any brand of cornflakes, but a couple of things. First of all, they have to be super fresh. Secondly, most of the major cornflake brands are very wispy and thin. Trust me on this, you're going to want to go with a cheaper brand of cornflake that's sturdy, because these are going to get stirred around with a lot of marshmallow cream in the pot over here. And you want something that's going to hold up a little bit better. You'll thank me later. Find some nice, inexpensive cornflakes that have a little bit of heft to them if you can. Also, we're going to need 1 stick of margarine. Again, you can use any brand, but a note on the margarine. You want to find a margarine that's above 65% vegetable oil. This one happens to be 80%, which is perfect. It's perfect for baking and it's perfect for this application. And don't try to go all chefy on me and use butter. You really want to use margarine for this. It just holds up better. It's more stable. And as I mentioned in our last episode, fats matter. So make sure it's got a high enough oil content and that you're using margarine. We also want to use 8 ounces of marshmallows. Now again, any brand will do, but you want to use a good quality marshmallow and you want to weigh your marshmallows. So this is important because, as we all know, we've heard of shrinkflation, and we know that food manufacturers tend to goof around with their recipes and change sizes, and all marshmallow sizes seem to be different. So you want to weigh these. You want 8 ounces. We're going to use some cinnamon imperials to decorate our holly leaves, and we're also going to use a teaspoon of vanilla, and we're going to use a teaspoon and a half of green food coloring. So let's go over to the stove and we can start making these. All right, we are over here at the stove. You want to set your flame for medium heat, and you're going to want to use a non-stick pan. Again, trust me on this. We've done this a million times, and non-stick's the way to go. To that, we're going to add our 1/2 cup or 1 stick of margarine, and we're going to let that melt. I have a silicone spatula here to kind of stir things around, especially when I get the marshmallows in. But when we hit the cornflake portion, you're going to want a super sturdy wooden spoon because you're going to have to manhandle those cornflakes a little bit. So I've got my marshmallows, my 8 ounces of marshmallows. And I'm going to turn the flame up just a little bit so we can get those nice and melted. This recipe goes pretty quickly. The other thing I meant to tell you earlier was that kids love these cookies, but I would discourage letting your small children help because you're going to burn your fingers a little bit on these. I'd hate if any little kids burnt their fingers, so it's just a little bit sticky and cumbersome, and that marshmallow cream really does get hot. So I would not recommend letting them scoop out the cookies or put the Red Hots on. All right, we're getting our marshmallow cream going here. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1.5 teaspoons of green food coloring. Don't think that more vanilla is better, and don't think that more food coloring is better, because if you add too much liquid to this, you're going to come out with really sticky gooey cookies. So it's really important that you follow the measurements on this recipe. I always say baking's chemistry, and this isn't baking per se, but there's still a little bit of chemistry involved in terms of how much liquid goes into this. Make sure that all of the marshmallow cream is really well incorporated, or your melted marshmallows rather. You don't want any white streaks or striations in there. Okay, I'm going to turn my flame off for just a second while I measure my vanilla. Be careful with this green food coloring. It is messy. Turn my flame back on. And we're just going to get that color incorporated. I really want to get that mixed in really well before you add your cornflakes. Add my cornflakes. This is where the muscle comes in. Get your spoon, and you are really going to want to get these well coated. I've got the heat on really low. Keep it moving. I see a lot of food blogs where they don't get green holly leaves coated very well, so we want to make sure we really coat them. See how hard I'm stirring this? This is also why you don't want a flimsy cornflake if you can help it. Any cornflake will work, but it just works better with a sturdy one. All right, here's another tricky part. You gotta work fast here. These are sticky, but that's good. We want them sticky because that means they're gonna dry properly. Yes, it's a challenge. A lot of times I use my fingers, but it's so hot right now, I don't want to burn. They are easy to handle once they cool off just a little bit. I've got about 5 here. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to put 3 holly berries on each one. I use freezer paper, shiny side up, or you can use wax paper, but just something so that they don't stick. Because this is a super sticky recipe, and that's the other reason you want to use a non-stick pan. Clean up so much easier. They set up pretty quickly, and these are setting up really well. You want them to be somewhat dry to the touch, not gooey, and you can actually at a certain point turn them over to dry the underside out. These are exactly what we're looking for. Don't be afraid to press those holly berries down into the cookie. Trust me, you're not going to hurt these cookies. But there you go, holly leaf cookies. And again, it's a fun cookie. These freeze fantastically. You can put them in a box, layer them with wax paper, and freeze them. When you put them on a plate, don't stack them up or you will wind up with a globby green mess. Thank you for stopping by the Retro Baker today. I was so excited to share my holly leaf recipe with you. And remember, baking doesn't have to be complicated to be delicious.